I recently polled my TikTok and Instagram followers and I asked them what topics they wanted me to cover that I hadn't yet. And I was shocked to hear from people repeatedly, loose baby teeth. Now this resonated with me because my eldest is going through the process of losing his 2 front top baby teeth right now, and he's actually having a harder time than I expected. But because of my training as a pediatric dentist, I know how best to help him through and when and if I need to intervene. I can see though how as a parent without a lot of dental experience, the process of your child losing a tooth can be overwhelming, especially if they're sensitive and anxious about the process like my kiddo. So this question made sense. I joke sometimes that there are 2 types of kids with loose teeth. First are the ones who wiggle out their tooth as soon as it gets the least bit loose because they just can't stand that feeling of it being loose, and or they're ready for their cash money. The second ones are like my son. They end up eating half their teeth with breakfast or swallowing it while they sleep because they won't let anyone touch it, and it just dangles there for months and months and months. So let that be my first little bit of advice. It is okay if they swallow their tooth. Most of the time, obviously, this happens while they're eating. It can also happen they wake up and their tooth is gone. You assume they swallowed it, but as long as they didn't inhale it, so aspirate it to their lungs, which is really rare, you would notice like a cough, a fever, or some obvious signs of trouble within a few days, then you're fine. So I tell those kids that the tooth fairy takes IOUs. Please do not go digging for the tooth. All they have to do is leave a note and explain what happens. Now, parents are primarily concerned about that last type of child who holds on to their teeth for ages beyond what seems necessary. And although sometimes parents worry that that overeager tooth pulling kid might do some damage, I reassure them that if their child was able to wiggle it out with their finger, it's fine. It was loose enough and ready to go. So let them cash in that tooth without guilt. Maybe they're a future dentist. But for that second child, the primary worries that I hear are 1, will it harm their permanent teeth if they leave it in too long? And then 2, can they get like a gum infection? There seems to be a lot of bleeding a lot of times. And 3, they're in pain and they're bothered by the tooth. So should I bring them in to the dentist to have it looked at, maybe even pulled? I'll walk you through these and try to ease your mind. First, can a loose tooth kept around for too long harm their permanent teeth? The biggest impact an over-retained, it's hanging out too long, baby tooth can have on the permanent teeth coming in is that it might cause that permanent tooth to erupt or come in out of position. Sometimes we'll call that ectopic eruption. You notice this most often with the back baby molars. You'll see that the premolars like starting to break through the gums above that baby tooth, and it's deviating a little bit toward the lip or the cheek side. And sometimes this can end up wedging that baby tooth, kind of making it challenging for the child to get that tooth out on their own. So this is a case when a dentist will typically monitor, maybe for a brief period of time, give them like 2 weeks. All right, get it out in 2 weeks or you're done. Just to see if like a Laffy Taffy or a caramel at home can assist in extracting the tooth at home, along with some good you pinch it and twist it type of wiggling. If not, then they're going to schedule to have that child in to have that tooth extracted by the dentist. These extractions are often very quick and easy because that tooth has little to no root left to hold it in. And then once that baby tooth is out, that permanent tooth corrects its course and shifts right back to position. This often will happen in children with very crowded teeth, not just children who don't like to wiggle their teeth, and it could be a sign that braces may be needed to ultimately align all of their teeth in the future. So check in with an orthodontist too. Next, can an over-retained baby tooth lead to a gum infection? Well, anything's possible, but usually as long as that child's able to brush and keep the area clean, nothing more than gingivitis arises. They may have some tenderness there, a burning or itchy feeling accompanied by bleeding when they're rushing or if they touch that area, but it's nothing that won't quickly resolve once that tooth comes out. But should this loose tooth limit the child's normal daily activities like eating and drinking or brushing, it's best then not to let it persist beyond a couple of weeks, as leaving food debris and plaque in that area could ultimately lead to an abscess or even early cavities on the surrounding baby teeth or the erupting permanent teeth. My rule of thumb is 2 weeks. If they remain unsuccessful at wiggling that tooth out on their own and they're refusing to brush the area or to eat on that side, then you may want to involve a dentist to at least evaluate that tooth and then consider having them help remove the tooth too. And lastly, if they're experiencing discomfort with the loose tooth, how do I know when to see the dentist? Well, perhaps they bite on it funny and it bleeds a little and then they run to the mirror screaming and crying, but they refuse to let you touch it. Well, when do you need to call in backup, aka the dentist? This is where it gets a little tricky. Here is the most important thing you can do. Stay calm and try not to react to their high emotional state. Staying calm is going to help them see that you're not concerned and that losing teeth is a normal, albeit weird, thing, and it's not a big deal. You've been through it at least 20 times and you're confident they can do it too. You're there to serve as their wise, experienced, and knowledgeable guide to help them through this new, again, weird process. But please, 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 do not threaten the child that you're going to take them to the dentist to pull the tooth out if they keep screaming about it every time they eat. What you want to do is try to have a conversation about losing teeth. That it's a natural thing every kid goes through, where the root holding that baby tooth in the bone, it's kind of eaten away by the growing permanent tooth that's moving up to replace it. So that all that's really left is the top of the tooth, the crown, and that's why it's loose. You talk about the exciting things that happen with losing him. You get a new big kid tooth that comes in that you're going to have for the whole rest of your life. And then you get a visit from the tooth fairy and some money. That's what everybody wants, right? But regardless of their feelings, whatever they are, try to validate them. I can see you're worried about your tooth being loose and it's a little uncomfortable. I remember feeling that way too. And then assure them that you'll help them through. We got this. Would you like me to help wiggle it? Do you want to call the dentist to help? What are some things we can do? So problem solving, working as a team. Ultimately, you'll encourage them to either work more to wiggle it out themselves. You can use a dry gauze or a washcloth or a piece of paper towel so they can grip that tooth and it won't slip. And then you pinch it and you twist in a circle. And then if they won't do that, you can do that. If you can't do that, you're going to faint on them. Then it's time to visit the dentist and have them take a look and see what they think. If they want help wiggling the tooth, the dentist will be able to apply numbing jelly, maybe do some laughing gas so they can breathe, and they're just going to be sure they're comfortable and they can get that tooth out really in a matter of seconds. They'll probably even give them a super cool container to bring their tooth home in and then to leave it for the tooth fairy. Just assure them that you and the dentist both want to help them feel comfortable. And if the tooth is really bothering them to the point that they worry about it all day, they can't play, eat, drink, or talk like normal, then they should go in for a visit. So I hope this eases your mind about your child losing their teeth and gives you some guidance about how to help them through the process. I love this comic by Nathan Pyle because it touches on our kids' experience. But losing your teeth really is like a little horrifying. It's kind of weird. Like it's this body part that you're using every single day and it's steadily becoming more and more loose by the second and less able to function as it should. Like that's sort of horrifying and they don't really understand if we don't tell them what's going on. So have some empathy, show some patience, try to remain calm and confident and cool, and just let them know what's happening and walk them through and help them any way you can. And sometimes that means going to the dentist. You've got this.